All right, tonight we are going to start with the 3 R's of the sacred strengths. And there are three sacred strengths that begin with the letter R. They are not reading, writing, and arithmetic, but they are relator, responsibility, and restorative. So we're not going to cover all three of those in one video, but we are going to talk about relator, which is the first one. So let's jump into this and get this ball rolling. Relator, what is it? First of all, let's talk about its domain. This is a relationship building strength. And for me, I have it in my number, I think it's my number 17. Let me check my notes real quick. Yep, my number 17. And for Kim, it's her number 14. And I relate to this strength very well. And even though it's in my 17, because with relator and its counter strength, this relator has a very serious counter strength relationship with the includer strength. In other words, again, when I talk about counter strengths, we're talking about two sides of a coin here. It's the same coin, but definitely we're looking at two different sides of it, or two ends of a single spectrum. So if we have relator over here, then typically includer is going to be way over here. If we have one of these strengths way up high, the other one is going to be way low. That's not always the case, and I've coached many people that actually have both of these strengths, one right over the other. But generally speaking, people lean more towards relator or more towards includer. So let's break this down and talk about exactly what includer is. If you want to know more about, by the way, if you want to know more about the includer strength, go watch my video on that. I've already done that video. It's there. So you can go back and refer to that. But today, let's spend our time talking about the relator strength. As I said, this is a relationship building strength. So when we relate to somebody, what that means is we are connecting with a smaller group of people. Relators connect with a small group of people, not this big wide pool where everybody needs to be included. Their relators are much more selective about who they let in their inner circle. But once they have that figured out, they tend to go very deep with those people in their circle. And that's what's so cool about this strength. This is the sacred side of relator. The sacred side of relator is that it is a deep strength. And once you figure out that this is how I want to, I found my people, I found my tribe, I found my community, you can go deep with them. You can connect with them on a very intimate level and a very personal level and share all your secrets. That trust is there. And that is what is so beautiful about the relator strength. Now, understand that with the relator strength, it is a bit of a judgy strength. You're being very judgmental about who you let into your circle. But be okay with that. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that. That is not sinister to say, I'm going to be judgmental about who I let in. Okay, not everybody needs to be let into your inner circle. Please understand that. If you have relator high, be very selective. You have to do that because you're going to go deep with these people, and you need to know that you can trust your group. So that is the beautiful sacred side of relator. Is that, yes, it's a small group of people, but you're going to go very deep with them. You're going to develop a deeper level of trust, a deeper level of intimacy, a deeper level of connection than what you could if you were an includer. Okay? Now, I have coached a handful of people that have both relator and includer very close together. Sometimes they're in the middle of their divine natural abilities. Sometimes they're both up towards the top of their their divine natural abilities, and sometimes they are at the very bottom. got a fly buzzing around me or something. They are at the very bottom of the divine natural abilities. Okay, that's okay. It doesn't happen very often, but it's not exactly, it's not impossible either. If you do in fact have relator and includer kind of in the middle of your divine natural abilities, what that means is not necessarily either one is bringing you a lot of joy or causing you a lot of hesitation either way. It's not interfering with how you live your life, but it's not really contributing to it either. That's okay. And there's lots of wonderful people out there where that's the case. Some people have them both high, and you may say to yourself, well, how can that be? How can you be both high related to where you're going deep with people and be also high includer where you're going wide with people? Well, think of it as kind of like I think of it as kind of like a bullseye. You know, if you see a target where, you know, you have these series of circles and every circle it gets smaller and the colors change. And it may very well be that you are an includer and you want to make sure no one gets left out. You want to make sure everyone has an opportunity to participate. But at the same time, you have a core group of people that you trust and develop that level of intimacy with. And not everybody fits in that core. Okay? And that's cool. There's nothing wrong with that. Again, that is a very, a very healthy way of connecting with others. And it may also be that you have both strengths very low. You may have includer very low and you may have relator very low. And what that means is that maybe there's some other strengths that you have that are taking dominance over whether or not you're developing these deep, intimate relationships or you're making sure everyone is included and you're developing this vast net of shallow relationships. And a lot of people with high levels of the influencing strengths can often see this characteristic to where these two particular relationship building strengths appear much lower because your influencing strengths are taking a much more dominant role. That may in fact cause relator and includer to be down towards the bottom 2/3 or so of your divine natural abilities. Nothing wrong with that. Okay, so generally speaking, however, one is dramatically higher than the other. Of all the people that Kim and I coach, easily 95% of them have relator much higher than includer. Now, if you're a coach out there and you're finding the opposite, I would love to hear from you. Reach out to me and let me know that you've got a bunch of includers in your group and not as many relators. I would love to talk to you to learn what you're seeing and to have that information. But from what I'm seeing a lot more relators than includers. Much more. So that's kind of the difference between the two. So what is sacred about relator? I think it is the depth. I think it is the depth in which you're able to connect with people on an intimate level, on a trust level, and very personally. I think that is huge. I use this analogy. I think I used this analogy when I talked about the includer video, when I talked about the includer strength in that video. I talked about, imagine you're in an office building or you're in a hotel or whatever, some building where you go into a lobby area and you have to go to the elevator. You push the button for the elevator to take you to your floor. You wait for the doors to open. You step inside and you are the only person in that elevator. And before the elevator door, because you know how long it takes for the elevator doors to close, right? It takes for an eternity. And sure enough, someone else you see is walking towards the elevator. So if you are in fact an includer, what you're going to do is you're going to hold the button that says keep the door open. Or you're going to put your hand out the door and kind of push the doors open and hold it open so that that person can get in the elevator. That is what an includer does. If you are a relator, on the other hand, your tendency, you may not do it. You may have too much guilt to do it, but here's what you're going to be thinking. And yes, I know you're thinking this, so don't pretend you're not. We all know it because I think the same thing. You're going to be thinking, I want to hit the button that says door close and let them take the next elevator. Because right now I'm relating to the fact that this is my elevator and I don't want to share it. I don't know who these people are. I don't need to invite them into my space. Okay? So, as judgy as that sounds, yes, it is judgy, but that's okay. If you have high relator, I want you to embrace it because it is a powerful, powerful strength. All right, let's talk about where relator can go sinister. Relator can go sinister, obviously, by taking it to such an extreme that we ignore the possibilities of connecting with other people who have something that they could contribute, that we could benefit from, that we could learn from, that we could connect with. If we get too much down the relator, too much down that relator path of putting up these boundaries, this talk to the hand kind of concept, stay back. If we go too far down that path, eventually, over time, we're going to end up alone. And that doesn't benefit us at all. And it doesn't benefit the world. Relator is a relationship building strength. If we end up using it to where we are pushing away the potential for relationship or inhibiting the potential for new relationships, then we are abusing that, and that strength has gone sinister. It is very important that we use this strength to build relationships, to build depth in our relationships, not to avoid relationships. Okay? I can't say it more clearly than that. I think that is the most clear definition I can possibly give on the sinister side of relationship. And I have seen this. I have seen people that have used this in such a sinister way that they push everyone away. And then they dishonor their own natural desire and their own joy they receive from building relationships and connecting with the right people. So that is it. That is this strength in a nutshell. This is what relator is. It's not complicated, but it is something that you got to pay attention to. I love this strength. Again, my number 17, but you know what? My includer is actually in my shadow strengths. It's way down in my bottom 5. So there's a huge gap between includer and relator for me, and I am definitely more of a relator. Check this out on your own DNA and figure out where you stand on this. Again, how high it is in how high either of these strengths is in your DNA isn't really as critical as where it is in relationship to the other, to the counter strength. So pay attention to that, because that is something you're going to want to know. Thank you so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you next time as we tackle the second R, which is going to be responsibility. And that will be coming very, very shortly. And until then, as always, remember, inspiration starts here.